In 1997, Swedish music producer Max Martin, fresh off the success of Backstreet Boys' debut album, was working on a new batch of songs to pitch to other artists. And there was one song in particular he was excited about, that he had written specifically for pop trio TLC. But when TLC heard the song, they passed on it. So he next showed it to a young Britney Spears, who along with executives at Jive Records, loved it. She recorded it, and the song single-handedly launched her into mega stardom. You know this song. It goes like this.
My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess, I still believe.
In hindsight, it might seem like a major misstep on TLC's part to have passed on this song, but was it? Listen to the lyrics of the hook.
Give me a sign, hit me baby one more time.
Now if you're like me, you've heard this song so many times that the original effect of it has long since faded. Or if you're like me, when you first heard the song, you were so young and clueless that most things went over your head anyway. But there's something weird about those lyrics. As author John Seabrook tells it, you weren't sure it was okay to sing it out loud. It's hard to imagine that anyone for whom English is a first language would write the phrase "hit me, baby" without intending it as an allusion to domestic violence or S&M. That was the furthest thing from the mind of Swedish Max Martin, who was only trying to use up-to-the-minute lingo for "call me." But obviously, it didn't bother Britney or her team. The executives involved were a little concerned, but rather than change the lyrics, they simply changed the song's title to ... baby one more time. The fact that this confusing and potentially unsettling lyric serves as the hook for one of the biggest songs of all time makes me wonder. Do lyrics even matter? Obviously, that's a subjective question. Lyrics might matter more to you than they do to me, or vice versa. Not all lyrics are created equal. So I guess the real question is, what does the average listener expect from song lyrics? Are there any actual rules? How much weirdness, stupidity, or poor taste do we tolerate or forgive in song lyrics as long as the song itself sounds cool and catchy? Consider that some of the biggest songs in the world are largely unintelligible.
Load up phone guns, bring your friends, it's fun to lose and play pretend.
Or frequently misheard.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
And we don't seem to mind. Consider that some of the biggest songs in the world break the rules of grammar.
I don't want to hear you lie tonight, now that I've become who I really are.
Fun fact, Ariana Grande was initially opposed to that lyric, but it's hard to argue with Max Martin's literal dozens of #1 hits, so she ended up using the song as is. Max Martin, guys. Bending the English language to his will once again. And we don't seem to mind. Or consider songs that break more literary rules, like randomly changing point of view.
There's something about you now I can't quite figure out. Everything she does is beautiful.
That makes it sound like Jason Wade of Lifehouse wrote a song called You and Me for you and her. Whoops. But we don't seem to mind. Or consider that some of the biggest songs ever are pretty much just nonsense. Take the Red Hot Chili Peppers, for example, who use words almost exclusively for the sake of rhythm, and rhyme almost exclusively for the sake of rhyme.
Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone, so smart she's leading me to ozone. Music, the great communicator, used 2 sticks to make it in the nature.
And then there's my favorite example, courtesy of LFO's Summer Girls.
You're the best girl that I ever did see, the great Larry Bird jersey 33.
That's just delightful and so dumb, and we don't seem to mind. Or consider a song like Royals by Lorde, where the messaging is trying to have it both ways. In the first half of the chorus she says,
and we'll never be royals, it don't run in our blood, the kind of luck's just ain't for us, we crave a different kind of buzz.
Which seems to be disparaging hierarchy, celebrity, and the 1% lifestyle, but then she immediately turns around and says this.
Let me be your ruler, and you can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.
Again, we don't seem to mind. So what I take from all this is that if lyrics matter, it's not because they follow rules or because they're consistent or because they even make sense. A lot of songwriters, myself included, spend a lot of time worrying about things like, oh, I used the word shadow in my first verse, so I can't use it again in the second verse, or I ended this line with the word time, so I can't rhyme it with sometime. That's the same word. But hey, I mean, John Lennon's Imagine rhymes one with one.
You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
And it's perfect. So if you're a songwriter, I invite you to worry a little less about all that stuff. So, do lyrics matter? Yes, of course they do. It's self-evident to anybody who loves songs. Of course lyrics matter. A good song lyric can make people fall in love. It can instigate social change, personal change. Good song lyrics can save lives. So of course they matter. The real question is, what about song lyrics really matters? If it's not all the stuff I've talked about so far, then maybe it's something more like the way they can communicate primal human emotion.
I'm gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier.
Or the way they can paint vivid images and lead the imagination.
Dance with me under the diamonds, see me like breath in the cold.
Or the way they can tell captivating stories.
I was distracted and in traffic. I didn't feel it when the earthquake happened, but it really got me thinking. Were you out drinking? Were you in your living room chilling, watching television?
Or when they're just straight up fun.
Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we're gonna show out, smoother than a fresh jar skippy.
Or when they're just so darn relatable.
I wanna bring her round to meet ya. I think you'd like her kind of meaner. I know that Grandma would've loved her like she was her own.
Or maybe we just like the sound of words. I mean, hey, we often enjoy listening to songs in languages we don't even speak. Think of all the beautiful sounds a single musical instrument can make, and yet we don't describe them any sort of literal meaning. We just like the way they sound. Words can be just as beautiful, even if we don't understand them.
Isso aí, como a gente achou que ia ser. A vida tão simples e boa.
Most likely, it's all of the above. Lyrics matter to the extent we make them matter. Sometimes we just want to sing along with something. Sometimes we just want to have something on in the background of our lives. And sometimes we want to truly listen and let words and music together work a sort of alchemical magic that can take us to deeper places in a way few things can. And on that note, I'll leave you with this.
In the shadows of tall buildings, fallen angels on the ceiling, oily feathers and bronze and concrete, faded colors, pieces left incomplete. The line moves slowly past the electric fence, across the borders between continents, in the cathedrals of New York and Rome. There is a feeling that you should just go home and spend a lifetime finding out just where that is.